Welcome back, everyone. It's your boy JamesDub, and thanks so much for making it to the 5th episode of the podcast. If it's your first time here, this is where we've been discussing all things Gods Unchained. I've had the honor of interviewing all types of different people in the Gods Unchained community. We've had a few streamers, we've had the head of community in, and today we had a chat with a guy called Chuck. Now, he is, in my opinion, one of the unsung heroes of Gods Unchained. He runs some of the biggest tournaments in the community. They average about 500 people per tournament. So, it was really great, catching up with him. I'm going to put the links to his tournaments down in the description below. I heavily suggest that you guys check it out. They're free to enter and lots of fun. And, that's pretty much it. Enjoy the video.
And today we're joined by some of you might know him as Shut the Chuck Up. Some of you might know him as Chuck You. My dude, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I got to start, dude, with your name. Please tell me about it, dude. Where did it come from?
Well, whenever I was obviously named Charles, and when I was growing up, my dad used to tell me that your name is Charles. Don't let anybody call you anything else. And then whenever I got to middle school, a couple of kids called me Chuck. And I was like, dude, my name's Charles. Like, just call me Charles. And then I was Chuck from then on. And then I just started liking it. I was like, Chuck rhymes with all of the good words. And my first car, I got a personalized license plate that said Chuck You. And
that's huge.
And, you kind of figure out who the cool people are whenever you get the dirty looks or the smiles as they drive by. Yeah, and I just kind of included it in everything else. So I guess I'm just I didn't want to change it. I like the way it sounds. I like to use words to take away their power. So like profanity to me, just want to use it more so it's not so special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's huge. No, I like that, dude. That's huge. So. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself? Just a bit of background for people that, haven't met you before, haven't been a part of your tournaments, and how you got into the scene and what you're doing and stuff.
I started Gods Unchained about 8 or 9 months ago. I really enjoyed it. Started just playing it all the time, and don't really have all the extra money to really buy a lot of the really nice decks and keep up with the times, because, it's like you gotta... I purchased like a Magic deck at one point, and as like now it barely keeps up. So I have to like cycle the cards in and out because everybody evolves and they get better at the things that are good. So I just enjoyed playing it, but I also wanted to play some mirror matches, and I started going into the Gods Unchained Discord, look for mirror matches on starter decks, and a few people had said something about, hey, you should do a tournament. And I was like, all right, maybe. And then just started doing it, and they've gotten a little bit bigger. And I'm enjoying this. Yeah, I actually enjoy hosting the tournaments just as much, if not more, than playing the game. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And I think that I'm doing a really good thing for Gods Unchained, because I'm getting a lot of new players. I'm getting a lot of people that don't even know how to set up a wallet. I get lots of DMs, and I try to be really patient with people and walk them through it. Because I believe like every person that we get in is a person that potentially can tell other people about Gods Unchained and get more people in. And the more people that we get playing, the more people we get buying cards, the more people that spread the word. It's just really good for us and the community and the streamers and everybody, just to get as many people in as we can. And it involves a lot of patience, because there's a lot of people that ask a lot of questions that have already been answered. But I try to get people around me that are answering questions for me too, to be nice and go with the flow, because I know there's a lot of people that are just getting started, and they want like somewhere to go, and I feel like that they can actually earn some money playing Gods Unchained starter decks without knowledge of deck building and things like that. And I've had a lot of people wanting to do like a welcome set game instead of starter decks. And maybe that's something for the future, but right now I just want to mirror stuff that's pre-made for the newcomers, because I just want to see this game get bigger. I want to get as many people in this game as possible that I can contribute. A little teaser for July, though. The tournament's in July. I'm going to get a few people like yourself, hopefully, to make their own version of a starter deck for us to mirror an entire tournament with. And so far, so far I've got Ryan. Has got me a deck, and Cuckoo's going to make me a deck. Was it YOTG? Did I say that right? Yeah. The team.
Oh yeah.
What's YOTG? They're gonna make me one.
The Year of the Gods.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
nice. It sounds awesome. So, and yeah, wow. Okay, well, your story's pretty awesome, bro. Like, you really, it sounds like you're really just out to help people and bring people into the game, which is super awesome. And,
it's the plan, man. And if anybody's watching this stream that's in the starter deck Discord, I do ask you guys to be patient with the guys that are just starting out, because I know that it's probably frustrating for you seeing the same questions asked over and over and getting answered over and over. And if you wouldn't mind pitching in and answering some of those questions too, that you know that I've already answered a few 100 times, that'd be nice. I have a little file on my computer that's a copy and paste file, and a lot of the same questions, I just copy it from there and paste it into the Discord to reply, and just change out like the hours left in the round or something, or how to report match results and things like that.
Well, that would be a way to do it. Hey, like, especially because I'd expect that a lot of people that haven't played Gods Unchained that you'd also have a lot of people that are relatively new to the Discord as well. Like, have you thought about getting other ways of communicating with them outside of the Discord that could be maybe more user friendly? Because I know some guys in my channel Discord, they just don't like it. They don't like how it runs. Like, it intimidates them.
Well, they can use the match room on community gaming to communicate, but I think just being in the Discord so you can DM each other is the most helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I'm excited for this thing in July. So, it sounds like you've got a few big names that are going to be making decks. Like, so, is the plan to make them out of, as you were saying, the welcome cards, so they're completely user friendly, and then you could have you could have those streamers kind of like advertise it on their streams as well.
A lot of those streamers have already advertised for me, so
nice.
like yourself,
I saw that on Cuckoo's stream as well, and
my card on Cuckoo stream, Is that what yeah.
The card, like, I jumped on there, I was watching Cuckoo, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, that looks sick. Like, it was really well made, and like, I obviously like to tell as many people about you as possible, because I think what you're doing is super helpful, because you need, I think it's like a really interesting way to look at it is, when people come into like a gaming scene, they look at it competitively, which means they're only really looking at the top tier, like the top echelons of what's happening. So everyone under there has to kind of work it out themselves, and at the very beginning and in the lower skill set areas, there's not much happening. So it's like either rise to the top, like socially or gameplay wise or mechanically, or just kind of fit in. And the way that you've come and done this is you're kind of putting a lot of focus on that.
I want to get a lot of focus on the beginning players. I want to make them feel welcomed, and I know the starter decks are frustrating. Whenever I first started playing Gods Unchained and I used the starter deck, I think I was minutes away from potentially quitting the game forever, just because it was so frustrating playing with that deck. And and so it would be cool to see Gods Unchained maybe evolve the starter decks themselves for all the new players, because it's, even if you're playing against other brand new players, it's really hard to win with a starter deck in ranked.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Like the starter decks are. A lot of people would probably agree they're heavily RNG based. The mana curve's completely off, so that means that you're getting a lot of high cost mana cards, and a lot of turns you're having to pass your turn and float mana into other turns, and it's irritating, and you feel like you're not playing it well. Like when I entered your tournament the other day, and I got
watched your game.
eaten by that dude. Yeah,
the guy like clearly wasn't that experienced, and it just. Like sometimes you're just unlucky, and I don't care how good you are, you just get unlucky. But at the same time, practicing with the deck before would have helped you probably. But there's a lot of people that have been playing these tournaments that have won consistently or gotten the higher ranks consistently. So I know it's more than just luck. You can not make mistakes as you go, and what have you. But yeah, it's. I think it's ridiculously hard. I haven't made it past the third round of my own tournaments of any of them. Like in this tournament, I lost the first one, and I got matched up with somebody who's won it twice, so I knew I was going to lose. But yeah, I'm not that good at this game. I definitely make mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes as I go, and it's easy to see it after the fact. But I found that hiding that girl is really helpful if you can. Was it Underbridge? What's her name? The 4-mana card in the Deception starter deck.
Man.
Something Assailant. I want to say Underbridge Assailant, but I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. But she's the only one that's got. She's the only one that's got the heal, the regain. So you can hide her and she'll regain it each round, and you can hit for 5.
I'm so new.
Yeah.
I'm so new to Actually, I can just have a look right here because that was the first time I'd actually played it, and I felt silly because I hadn't practiced it, and as you said, I needed to practice. But it's the Underbridge Assailant. Yeah,
Underbridge.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I'm not a really experienced player, but in my experience, whenever I was practicing it, if I could get her out and hidden, then I was doing pretty good, and there's not much they could do about it unless they put it back in my hand somehow with that E-mana card. But
well, if you can get her out and hidden, that's 15 damage over 3 turns. You know? Like
that's not bad.
That's decent. That's half the game.
Yes.
No, absolutely. So, and I was actually chatting to the guys yesterday about it when I jumped on stream yesterday, and the guys that were in the tournament the prior night when I kind of got wrecked in there were talking to me about the mistakes I made because I played the Newt like with Blitz, and I should have cleared the wall with the other 2 and then gone in with that. But yeah, I made huge mistakes, like obvious ones to look back on. I even put it on TikTok. I put it on YouTube. And
well, if you're not proud of your mistakes, then you can't grow, right?
Yeah, you have to laugh about it.
Yes.
Because then,
you
don't want to hide it. So, yeah, cool. So, so for everyone that hasn't made it into the Deception starter, so you had over 500 people enter this tournament.
Full bracket, 512.
Wow. Yeah. That's insane. And then
we had a decent waiting list too.
It's huge, bro.
Yeah.
What was the percentage of people that didn't like? So you said you had a decent waiting list. Did you have to fish into that much from people that didn't show up?
Oh yeah. I used the whole waiting list. I used the whole waiting list for nearly the Yep.
That's awesome. It's a good feature that they've got there.
Yeah.
So the format's going to be going through with light and then nature, and you're going to cycle through. Like, is this kind of the way that you see your tournaments going for the future? And have like, obviously, you're going to have streamers jump in and make some model decks, which would be pretty cool. It'd be like having their own branded starter deck that people can use.
That's kind of the idea. I don't know where it's going to go after July. I'm really I listen and I have ideas as they come, and this was just the next idea. I fished this idea out last month to do a single deck for the whole tournament, and it seemed to go well. So, this is just the next month's idea. So the tournament will just basically be like, if you're willing to make one, it'll be James's starter deck, some version of that tournament. It'll be the name, and get your stuff in the description, as well as the rules to play and stuff like that.
I see. So in the way that you're doing mirrors with this one, you'll be doing mirrors with that. That's huge, dude.
Yeah. So that way I can kind of also give some support to the streamers out there too. All these new people, they come in, they got a link to somebody's stream, as well as playing the starter deck that person created, mirroring it over a period of time and practicing it and what have you. Yeah.
That's sick. That's awesome, bro. So I've got to ask, you sound super passionate about GU, which is awesome, but have you got a background in other card games, or did you ever play any Hearthstone or anything similar? Are you into strategy stuff?
Yeah, I'm into strategy stuff. I have not played Hearthstone. I played a lot of Magic in high school. I still have my Magic cards sitting in a box. No, actually, they're in a bag. I played a few Magic games with my cards as an adult with other parents from the daycare that I went to whenever my kids were still in daycare.
Nice.
And so I've used those a few times, and I had a Chaos Orb whenever I was in high school, which is a Magic card that's worth, I think, something like $8,000 now. And I think I sold it for like $80 whenever I was in high school.
$80?
Yeah. And one of the reasons it's worth so much is because the card during tournament is you rip it up and you throw it, and it destroys everything it touches. So
is that what that card was?
Yes, you destroy the card. It's a one-time use card.
I heard about that card.
Yes.
Dude. And you had one of those.
I had one. Yes, I had it in like a nice case too, and because $80 then on the Magic card was huge. I was like, oh my god, I don't know if I'll ever get $80 for this card ever. It's going to lose value at some point. I didn't know it was going to be worth 100 times as much.
That's huge. So it's called Chaos Orb, right? I didn't know what that card was called, because I remember when I was going to the card house all the time, they were talking about a card that you ripped up during the game, and I was like, what the hell? Yeah, that's insane. So you were in that tournament when you were a young fella?
No, I didn't play the tournaments. I just had the card.
Wow.
I just had the card. I got the card out of a pack, and I just held on to it, and I never used it.
That's like the perfect case of supply and demand, that card. You're like, how can we drive the price of the card to the moon?
It's crypto burn. It's 100% burn.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you played a bit of Magic. That's huge.
Yes.
Did you play all colors, or did you have a specific
I played a little bit. I think I
favored?
liked red the best. I call it red because I don't remember what it was called, even though I've played it recently.
Oh no, they call it red. Yeah,
they just call it red. Okay, yeah. I've been so much into Gods Unchained. All I have is like Gods Unchained on the brain, and I forget everything else.
Red aggro. So I usually used to have with red, you can run a lot of goblin decks and stuff. Like Krenko was a good boss in that one.
Yeah. And I made a few decks out of basically things other people were doing, just copied and tried their decks out. Yep. Yeah.
That's massive. That sounds really good, bro. That sounds really good. So I haven't really asked much about you, dude. So obviously you're from the States. Whereabouts in the States are you from?
I live in North Carolina.
Nice.
Yep.
So for someone that's not from the States, what's North Carolina known for, dude?
Kind of, I guess it's one of the places that has the easiest weather. Like, it doesn't get too hot, it doesn't get too cold. The springs and the falls are really nice and comfortable and really fun to be outside in.
Nice.
There's like singers that sing songs about the Carolinas. Can't remember the guy's name. There's a lot
it's quite famous for just being nice.
Yeah, it's just a nice neutral area. Also, the cost of living is really, really good. A lot of the housing market's really affordable.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I like it here. I like the temperature. I really enjoy traveling though, one of my favorite things to do is skiing.
Yeah.
And there's no good ski resorts around here, so I always have to travel for it. But I'm also appreciative whenever it does snow here that I don't have to deal with the snow on a year, all winter long. It was shoveling and everything else. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of skiing. I've skied at quite a few places too.
Whereabouts have you been skiing?
I've been out Colorado, Park City in Utah, and I've been a few places in Canada. One year I just took my car and did a little road trip in the winter, and I drove up to Niagara Falls and skied in Ontario and skied a few places along the way in Quebec and made it into Nova Scotia and skied there, and then took the ferry up to Newfoundland and skied up there, and then got as far up north as I could. And of course, it's winter, so I'm driving in whiteout conditions most of the time, and it's because it's so far up north. And I was trying to get up north so I could see the northern lights, but in the Newfoundland Island ends on the northern point. I went out a lot of nights looking for the northern lights, and I never got to see them. But it was so cold out there that I had all my ski gear on, but with my goggles, my nose was still out, and my nose was in so much pain from the cold that I have to just leave my car running and sit back in the car every now and then to warm up, and then go back out and stand. And it was blowing like 30 miles an hour, and it's just freezing cold, and
So it's that
everything's
cold.
just ice. Yeah, it's so cold that the rain freezes on the ocean. So the ocean is just, the ocean's like this much ice on the ocean. And it kind of makes a little sound, and it moves like slowly sometimes, and sometimes it just doesn't move. It just sits there on top of the water, and it's just
Wait.
yes.
The rain. Wait.
Everything, all the water just freezes on top of the ocean. Yes.
But the ocean is water. Like,
The ocean is salt water, which freezes at a much lower temperature.
True. Okay.
So the rainwater freezes, and all the snow and everything that falls just will sit like a foot deep on top of the ocean, and it's just gorgeous because it's just a white valley, a white as far as you can see. And
That's
as
terrifying.
you look out, it's gorgeous though. It is gorgeous. Yeah.
So what got you into skiing?
I interrupted your story. I want to hear about your moose that got chased. Your partner.
I can't remember exactly how it worked, but I was over in Sweden and we were chatting about moose, right, for some reason. Because they're everywhere and they're huge, like they're massive. And Sophia's dad was telling us about just how he got chased by, I think it was a baby moose, like an adolescent. And apparently the adolescent moose are like super aggressive, man. Like I don't know what's going on.
Like teenage moose.
These teenage moose, man, they're violent. He got chased through the Swedish woods by a ruddy moose.
Teenagers are dangerous. This should be well known.
Kids are dangerous.
Teenagers, man. God dang teenagers.
But when I was over in Sweden, Sophia took me to a moose park, and it's like you go over there and you take apples and you feed these moose apples. I got a bunch of pictures on my Instagram. They're beautiful. They're huge though, man.
Yeah, they're big. Yeah.
And like, excuse me, and it's just like there's apparently a lot of accidents on the road with moose because they haven't got, like in Australia, for example, we've got lots of barricades. Like usually on the roads, there's always a barricade between the forest and the road. Most of the time.
Yeah.
And if not, it's like you can see it really far away. But in Sweden, the roads are really quite narrow, and it goes from heavy forest to literally road. So you can run into these moose, man, and apparently it's quite common for there to be fatal car crashes because if you hit a moose, they're so top heavy, their legs are so skinny, and at the top they're hundreds of kilograms. You know what I mean? Like
just come into your window and your windshield.
Yeah, they literally go through your windscreen and kick you to death. It's terrifying.
That would be a horrible way to die, I think, because I think you would be around for most of it. I think that would be terrible.
Yeah, you'd want to hope that it landed on you. Like that's it.
Just like
that
get it over with.
pretty dark pretty quick, man.
Damn teenagers.
Teenagers, but yeah, when you're thinking of dangerous animals, you don't think of moose. Like, people talk about Australia and they're like, oh, you've got super dangerous animals there, but we've got lots of spiders and snakes and stuff, but we don't have massive mammals that chase you. Oh, maybe we've got kangaroos, actually, but they're not dangerous. Oh, I guess they're dangerous.
They can get a little aggressive, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, they can, they can definitely get aggressive, but you just stay away from them.
You don't get dumb tourists trying to get close to the kangaroo to get a picture and get attacked? Does that happen?
Not really. Well, it depends on the type of kangaroo. So you got like the grey kangaroos, which are the most common, and they're chill, they're sweet. You just should never approach a big red kangaroo. The big reds, they're the ones you see videos of, and they staunch up and they get real big and they make these hectic noises.
Why are they a different color?
Well, they're just a completely different breed.
Okay, okay.
And the red kangaroos, they're just terrifying. Like, you'll see the video on YouTube of that guy that, the kangaroo had his dog around the neck and was like,
oh god, yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah, and the dude went up and
terrible. Trying to
punched it. Yeah, but then that dude got locked up, man. That dude actually got locked up.
The kangaroo's protected.
Yeah, exactly. But you can go to the shopping center and buy kangaroo. Like, we eat it all the time. It's weird. It's weird how that works. It's
protected
really...
unless you're a restaurant.
Yeah, well, we're the only country that eats our national animal.
That's funny.
Well, they're a pest, man. They're a pest.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure they have
really
plenty
cool.
of babies.
Oh, well, there's more kangaroos than people here. That's definitely a fact.
Yeah. That's probably a good thing. Not a bad thing.
No. Kangaroos don't.
They don't have religions and stuff. And
they're good neighbors.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Complain about your
they
yard.
Have religions.
Yeah.
No war.
Yes.
It's always good.
Yeah. They hate you for simple reasons. Yes.
Oh, that's unreal. So you into skiing? Like, did you ever get into any other sports, or like, have you ever lived anywhere else, or have you always lived in North Carolina? Because we quite often live where we grow up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that happens to a lot of people. I think it's really good for people to not live where they grow up, but it happens to most of us because it's really hard sometimes to get new routes, find new places to be. But I think it's really good for our us as people, learning other people. But I didn't grow up too far away. I got when I met my wife, my soon-to-be wife, we lived a state away, and we came here so she could get her graduate degree. And I just supported her while she was getting her graduate degree, and we stayed here because we liked it. But I have family all over. My dad was I don't know what you call him, like the guy that was setting up franchises. My dad was born in Rhodesia, which is now called Zimbabwe.
So it's like near South Africa.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And he was in the Rhodesian SAS. I got little news articles of him robbing trains when he was in the military. I guess they needed funding, so they robbed trains. I don't know why they did that. But anyway, so he came home once a year when he was in the military to his wife that was there, and they have 4 children that are 1 year apart for the 1 year that the one time he came home. And so I have 4 siblings that were born in Rhodesia. 3 of them live in South Africa, and one of them lives in Holland. And she moved to Holland, and she met a guy that was in Holland and moved there because one of her daughter has some health issues, and the healthcare in Holland is a lot better than South Africa.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And that's from his first wife, and then he met a girl in the Congo and came to the United States, and he eventually met my closest brother's mother, And so I got a brother in West Virginia, United States. And while he was married to her and having my brother, he was also having an affair with someone else that we found out recently that matched on Ancestry and me with my brother's kid, but didn't match with his own father. And so we put it all together, and that guy's mom was cheating on her current husband, is still her husband, with my brother's mom. And my brother and my new brother are like months apart in birth dates. They're like, I think it's the same year. It's within the same year. I could be exaggerating on the months, but it was happening all at the same time. And anyway, so he eventually got caught cheating on my brother's mother. I feel like I'm jumbling this up, but and then
it's complicated.
Yes, and then after that, he married that woman, divorced that woman, married my mom, had me. I was the only one out of all the kids that he raised. And yeah, and I mean, he wasn't a bad guy. He just needed, I guess the sex was more important than anything else, I think. Whenever him and my mom divorced, I lived with him for a while when he was single, and he kept about 5 girlfriends, and he wasn't like this shady looking character. He was like always well dressed, always very nice looking, and he's the guy that you talk to and fall in love with if you talk to him just for a little bit. But me as a kid, seeing him tell the same 5 stories over and over and over and laughing with like it was the first time, it was really hard to watch. But he was very likable at first, and and we would go from house to house to these girls that he would hang out with. And I would just sit in the living room while he's hanging out. And
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it didn't seem abnormal to me then, but as an adult, I'm looking back on it and thinking, I can't imagine doing that to my children. I can't imagine putting them in the next room while I'm hanging out with a stranger, and then going to somewhere else to do the same thing.
That's wild, man. That's wild, dude. So you were exposed to a fair amount of pretty heavy stuff when you were younger. Wow, that's super intense. So how does that kind of translate? Like now, like obviously, you in a long-term monogamous relationship. Like, was that hard? Did that come naturally, or is that something that you kind of craved because you didn't see that with your dad when you were younger, or what?
I honestly didn't really think about it so much. I think this is just what I wanted naturally, because I feel like I was also a victim of whatever my body wanted to do. Because I remember in high school, pretty much doing and saying anything to get laid. I know that I'm just a victim of my hormones, and I'm not as in control as I want to be. People think that they're in control of their body, but there's so many things that are in your body that are helping you feel in control. But and then I met my wife, and I just knew that she was somebody that I wanted to be with. I wasn't like 6 months later I asked her to marry. I was 19 whenever I asked her to marry me, and
wow,
we got married when I was 19, and I'm 40 now. So we've been married forever. We've got 2 girls. I got a 9-year-old and a soon-to-be 7-year-old. And I don't just I love being a part of my family. And kids as well. Like I didn't know that I would enjoy kids. I could have cared less about having kids. I've never held a child before my first child, and I love it. And it's weird to me because I feel like such a hypocrite, because before having kids, I was completely annoyed by kids around me, and now
It's like that though, isn't it? When you have children, bro. Like it's like because that was my first job out of school. I used to do childcare.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was sick, dude. Like
that's real work right there. That is real work. Oh, people don't know that is real work.
Oh yeah, well, and I was young, dude. That was my first job out of school. So I'd worked in kitchens and I worked in retail, but I hadn't actually worked like out of school. I started working at schools, and I was only 18, 19. So looking after kids between the age of 3 and 10. Most of them were about 4 or 5, and it was, vacation care and after school care and before school care. So basically, the parents would, if they had to drop the kids off early or couldn't pick them up till later or couldn't take work off during the school holidays, we'd look after their kids. And it was a lot of work, man. Like,
People don't realize how physically and mentally draining that is.
Yeah, and the routine was intense. You get there and I'd take them all down to the yard or whatever, and if they were under 4 years old, they weren't allowed on the monkey bars, and there was all these little rules,
right?
Man. And you had to, every hour, there'd be sunscreen, because it's so hot in Australia.
Yeah.
So you got to put sunscreen on the kids, and then you got to write it. Yeah, but then you got to write it down every hour.
You got to log everything. They want to make sure you did it.
Because exactly. Otherwise, if a kid gets burnt in the sun, then the parent could blame you. You know what I mean? Right. So you have to really. And I didn't realize just how much paperwork goes into looking after children. It kind of took the fun out of it. It made it a drag.
You can't really play when you're constantly writing down what you did last.
Exactly. Yeah. And then food time, same thing. You'd write. You'd make them sandwiches and write down exactly what they ate. Like it was like just basically ticking all the boxes. But it was cool, man. Like you just play games with them. Like, I think the young girls were funner to hang out with because you do more arts and crafts. With the young boys, they were more so really, really energetic and quite... I don't really think that kids are naughty, but there was a couple of children that acted out a lot.
Yeah.
And those were the ones, ironically, that got picked up the latest. Or, you
they got the least attention at home, probably.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. The ones that literally either had lots of siblings or really didn't. They were there the most, so you could tell that, like you said, they didn't get that attention, and people sometimes confuse that with, oh, they're naughty. Well, actually, they just want love.
They're still deprived,
I mean?
Yeah. A lot of those people, if you just give them some extra love, you'd be surprised at the person they could be. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. But that's interesting you say that, because I worked with kids, and then I had my first child when I was 25. I'm 33 now. I've got 2 kids, and it's like I've always been like, I don't know, I wanted to be a teacher when I was in school. Like, I've always thought that children are super rad, super easy to hang out with, and also super authentic. Like,
they don't mind saying it.
Yeah. I'm like last night, for example, like my youngest son's at his mum's house, and I spoke to him on the phone for an hour and a half last night between streams. Chatting to your kid for I was just chatting to him for 90 minutes, man, and he's 7,
Yeah.
We were just playing Guess That Pokemon with each other over the phone, and
that's awesome.
I just get blown away at some of the things that they say, it and that's what I mean. Me in my 20s, I probably wouldn't have wanted to, chat, even if it was my kid, chatting to a 7-year-old for 90 minutes. No. It's like, it's boring, man.
Yeah.
Right. But you kind of get a bit shocked at how insightful they can be. If as soon as they're comfortable around you, they open up this whole new perspective, and they see shit in a way that you go, fuck, I didn't see it that way. Like, that's super interesting. Do you find that with your little ones?
Oh,
man?
yeah. And I get surprised at how smart they are. I don't tell my 9-year-old this, but I think she's already smarter than me. And it's a little intimidating, but she's just really good at a lot of stuff, and she's just really smart. And my 7-year-old's really impressed me in a lot of ways too. But it's fun, like you said, to hear the things that they say. and you realize it's coming from such an innocent place, but it's just hilarious half the time. And to go back on your you talking about working at child care center, the daycares I put the girls in was a co-op daycare, so all the parents, we had staff, but all the parents also worked time, so I would do hour shifts there once a week, and changing diapers, doing everything. And 1 hour would completely drain me. I can't imagine doing it all day long. It was so draining. I love hanging around. I love like playing games and getting like really intense with them and throwing them around, and I enjoy that stuff. But like it's very draining, especially when it's a group of kids. I'm so glad that I did that, because I have so much more respect for the people doing childcare than I did before. It's just amazes me. I'm more of a physical guy than I'm like a mental worker. So I like things that are physically hard more than I do that are mentally hard. Maybe that's why I'm not as good at Gods Unchained as a lot of the guys in there. But
well, it's interesting that you say that, bro, because you're right. Doing a physical job, like literally laboring or anything, you've got your job to do, and you just do it, and you just only have to focus on that, and it makes sense because it's logical, and we can work that out.
Yeah.
And that's not as frustrating. But you start working with children, and they're unpredictable, and it's not logical. Therefore, it's easy to get frustrated. You're like, how do I? Because as blokes, we're sitting there going, okay, so there's a problem. Our job's to fix it, right? And these children can't explain the problem properly, so we get frustrated really easily. And it's not in our nature to do that. So I totally get it, bro.
And I'm like, speak up. I can't understand you when you're whispering. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
They're afraid to tell you, and they whisper it to you. And you're like, come on, please say it so I can hear it. I'm already frustrated. Please. It's frustrating enough. Yes.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. I totally get it. No, I got a lot of respect for parents that I genuinely think it's easier to go to work than it is to stay home on those days where you look after the kids. Those days are intense, man. And
stay-at-home wives, stay-at-home spouses, partners.
Exactly.
Please.
It's intense.
Those guys are working real jobs. Yes. It's so much easier to do something that's physically laboring, that you do the same thing over and over, and you can actually think about other stuff while you're doing it. You just do the same physical thing over and over, and it's not the same for the stay-at-home moms. It's constantly a mental battle and a physical battle. There's a lot of stuff to do. Stay-at-home. I keep saying stay-at-home moms. I don't want to gender type. Like, there's a lot of stay-at-home dads out there, I know, and partners in general. Yeah.
No, I hear you, but traditionally it's always been the mum, and we're moving into this time where it's not always like that. But in saying that as well, like I did the stay-at-home dad thing for a year, and honestly, it's just if I think back to it, it was just a blur. Like, it was a blur of routine of nap time, and then this time, and then this time, and nap time is the best time.
Yes, it's the good time. Yes, you're like getting a break, and you find yourself taking every nap that your kid takes too. You're taking those naps in the day as well, just to survive. Yeah. Did you do days and nights with stay at home?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the nights, they suck too, and especially if you have a kid that gets up often.
Yeah. Well, that's it. So for my second child, his mum, she couldn't breastfeed, right? So we so I got up to do the bottle feeding every night for that year. And it was just my job to do, not just look after him at daytime, but get up and feed him at night time.
Yeah, so she could get sleep and go to work and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was like you have to do full role reversal. And I'm telling you, man, that's part of the blur. You're never quite fully rested.
Right.
And you get quite irritable because let's say it's 9 or 10 in the morning. You've been up since 5, and you've only slept in broken bits, and then the mailman knocks too hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then the kid wakes up, and I'm just like, fuck.
What the heck, man?
I understand. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, you see a lot of those sometimes aggravated mums getting aggravated over the smallest things, and you wonder why. I understand.
I get it. And especially if you have in your brain, like, all right, my kid just went down. I've got the next 2 hours. I can rest for the next couple hours, do anything, and then 10 minutes in, something happens, and then all of a sudden that 2 hours is no longer yours. You have to give it back. It destroys. Cool. It hits you. It hurts.
Yeah.
Fortunately, my wife was really good at nighttime routine stuff, and she also had issues breastfeeding. So which I didn't mind because I enjoyed that I could do my part more whenever it wasn't just me watching her do all the work. So I liked that she couldn't breastfeed. I know that she was a little hurt and she wanted to be able to breastfeed.
Yeah,
but
of course.
But yeah, my wife was really good about the nighttime stuff because I don't know why she's just such a powerhouse when it comes to getting up and going back down. And I turn into a baby sometimes, like it can get me up and like for the first 5 minutes, I'm not who I am for that 5 minutes until I fully wake up. I'm like this raging guy, who in the right mind is waking me up right now and all this. And I'm just not my real person. I'm not that patient person. And she was just, I guess she realized my weakness and she just took charge of nights. And she's just an awesome person when it comes to that. And I think that with our partnership is we're pretty compatible in that sense because I love to play games and get really physical, whereas she loves to read and I like to read with them. We all read together, but that's really her strength. She pulls that in and make sure it happens. Whereas I'm like, all right, let's go have fun somewhere or do something. But yeah, I don't know where I got that from, the nighttime conversation, but yeah, I respect you in a huge way for doing it for years straight, not all by yourself, but mostly by yourself, right? Because you're the supportive parent, right?
Yeah. So that was just for that year.
Yeah.
But I'll be serious. I only lasted a year. So I think you could. Yeah, I think you can do anything for a year. But if I was still, in that position 7 years later, I'd be a completely different human. You know what I mean? So it is one thing just to see that and go, yeah, I admire that. But then I sit there in that position and go, man, I don't know how you can replicate that year after year because I think it genuinely takes a different personality type to step in there and do it. We can do it. We can get it done. I know you could do it as well, but it's I don't think we're maximizing what you and I could do nurture-wise, and I don't think what we're maximizing on the other hand nature-wise, if that kind of makes sense.
That makes sense.
So we're in this, whereas when they're younger and the children just want to be nurtured, and I'm sitting there going, what's going on? What do you need me to do? I can fix it. And there's nothing to fix. They just want your time.
Yeah, just want to hang out with you. Just be there. You don't even have to do anything. You just have to be around and be there. It's a huge thing.
Exactly.
Yes. It's a huge thing just to exist in the same space.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I kind of wanted to go back to, brother, if you don't mind, was actually your dad, because I used to work with I used to work at a place called Cash Converters. It's like a secondhand shop. So basically, you go there and you sell secondhand stuff. People bring stuff in and
you buy it from them and then sell it again, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Here we call it pawn shops.
Yeah. So it's a pawn shop.
Yeah.
We just call it but there's a chain in Australia called Cash Converters, and that was where I went after I did the 2 years of childcare. I went to that when I was 20. And my boss was an ex-Rhodesian army sergeant. That's why I wanted to go back to it, because Bernie was nuts, bro. I witnessed him punch 3 customers, 3
customers,
in that time. Customers,
yes.
And he didn't give a shit. Like, usually when you work in retail, your job's to put the customer first. No, not Bernie. He didn't care, man. And I just got to say that's my only experience working with, in this case, for a Rhodesian. And customer service was not on his priority list. I'm telling you, like, it was manners. Manners was at the top of his list. Like, he used to bring his wife Jenny in, and she was terminally ill. But she didn't want to take any time off. She, rip Jenny. She was awesome, but she was terminally ill, and she wanted to keep coming in. And because we worked in a pawn shop, and you'd quite often get customers coming in to sell stuff, and you'd say, well, I'll give you $50 for this, and they'll be like, oh, well, I want 100, and then you get into this thing. And Bernie was great in that situation because he would never budge, and he was the one that trained me. But sometimes Jenny would step in there, and I remember distinctly a guy spat on Jenny. And Bernie literally one hand jumped the counter, threw the guy through a glass window, dude. Like, wow. And this is in retail, man.
Wow.
It was intense. So what was it like? I mean, I'm not trying to affiliate all Rhodesians, but you said, he was a similar background with army and stuff.
He wasn't that intense. He had bullet wounds. And so I know he was shot a couple of times. He was missing a bone right here. It's a tendon or something. I don't know. He could just pull the skin there where he got shot and it just went right through his arm. But I mean, he wasn't really like what you would expect some kind of extreme military guy to be. He was smart, so I think, and he was a lieutenant, so I'm sure that he maybe had a different job than just a regular person in the Rhodesian SAS. But I've never seen him back down as far as physical, but I've also haven't really seen him push any boundaries or seem to go out of line or anything like that. But he definitely didn't shy away from hitting me if I messed up. But it never seemed excessive. I mean, for the time, like now you don't really, like we haven't spanked our children or hit them in any way, but at the time, whenever I was growing up, it was kind of common, and I got plenty of spankings.
We got
plenty of belts.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Belts, sticks. I don't know. I several times I'm just like running away and getting chased.
But no, unreal. Well, I mean, I think sometimes maybe you learn that in the army, that self-control. Maybe I think maybe Bernie was just so angry because his wife was in the picture, and she literally got abused by someone. I mean, that's a different thing. You see your spouse get abused, you're gonna lose it.
Hard. Yeah,
it's full on.
I mean, I can't imagine anybody putting up with somebody spitting at your wife, though.
Or
your partner. It's like, even if you don't respond physically, you respond in some way. Yeah. And
I was just shocked at the speed in which he reacted and the certainty in which he did things. Exactly. Like some people would stand there and take a second and go, hold up, and then maybe yell or something. There was no talking.
It was just I think my instinct would just stand there and like, are you kidding me? Like what, why would you ever think that's okay? Like,
exactly.
But I think my strategy would be more legal response than physical response, because at least here, if you respond that way, you automatically have lost the fight. Once you make it physical, now you are finding yourself behind bars instead of getting, which I would prefer to see the other person behind bars than myself.
Absolutely.
But
well, I mean, as soon as you make it physical, but then I'd argue in that situation, spitting on someone, although it doesn't hurt them, it's still a physical act. You know what I mean?
No, I think
I'd be more scared of that. Yeah, I'd be more scared of being spit on, and without trying to be a germaphobe.
Yeah.
I'd rather get punched in the face than get spat on, basically.
Yes. Yeah. It's also degrading, like, to get spat on.
Yeah. It's old school, man. It's not something like it's so bizarre. It's so far away from my thought process. Like you
slapping
see that
somebody with a glove.
Unreal. But yeah. Rhodesians are intense, man. Bullet wounds. That's gnarly, dude. That's gnarly. Yeah. I couldn't imagine. Well, and especially because in Australia we don't have guns here, man. Like we do, but you don't see them. So that would be a talking point at every dinner party if someone had bullet wounds. You know, you just don't see it. Yeah, unreal. Well, yeah, dude. We've covered some topics, dude.
Yes,
this has been
I've enjoyed this
pretty well, actually. Yeah. So have you got any anything? Oh, actually, one other question was I think you're pretty good in front of the camera and stuff, dude. I think last time we spoke, you were saying that you were thinking about streaming in the future. Is that right?
No, I am fine not streaming. I don't think that I could put in the time. And you really have to grind to get a streaming audience, and even potentially grind your whole life and not get a streaming audience. Is my camera delayed as it is on my side?
Yeah, it'll all buff out.
Yeah. No, I was trying to get the Twitter up, which just to have another way for people to get informed. But no, I'd rather support the streamers that are already out there than try to start a stream. Yeah, I'm fine just with the Discord getting bigger and just supporting the community. Get some more Gods Unchained players. Let's get as many as we can, and keep them, be nice to the new guys, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I
love it, and it takes lots of different types of people to make that happen. And your view of helping out the new people is super. I'm just going to say it. It's very low reward for the work put in. So you haven't got people lining up to do it. You know what I mean?
I got people lining up to ask questions, though. I got lines. I may be the wrong line, but I got the lines.
I love it, dude. I love it. Well, have you got anything else that you want to chuck in before we hop off, my dude?
Anything to chuck in, huh? No, I mean, I've really enjoyed talking to you. I do enjoy watching your stream whenever you use chuck a lot. You're like, we're gonna chuck that in there, and and so I have noticed that and enjoyed it.
No, man, I love streaming. It's something I've been able to do a lot more lately, and want to do more and more of. So, and I want to get more into these tournaments, man, in a big way.
Yeah, and I hope we keep them going. I hope we keep GU funding, even if they can't consistently fund at this level, but just keep supporting it. And I think it's huge of GU to support all the different outlets, the different tournament places. I think it's just really good for them because each tournament that they send funding to that's not already in the GU community is reaching out to that community as well. So, for instance, community gaming, each time that I host a tournament for them, they're also advertising my tournament on their Discord and on their Twitter, Instagram, and all the places. So, and they have their own huge following that we can hopefully scoop people out of. And I know a lot of people have talked about, is it Hearthstone? Is that the game?
Hearthstone.
Yeah, that the people
big,
don't own their
big
stuff, so they're spending lots. I don't know how much people typically spend in that game, but I've heard that several people have spent thousands, and it's just not theirs.
Oh yeah, no, that's 100% true. I was into Hearthstone for 2 years, and you'd buy the boosters because there wasn't a marketplace to buy single cards. You had to buy boosters, and you were paying, between $3 and $8 for a booster. And then, 2 years later, much like Magic, Friday Night Magic, the last set cycles out. So you've only got 2 years worth of active cards, and you're having to consistently buy up to 2 years worth. So people put in hundreds of dollars a month. Yeah.
So they're setting themselves up to make income 100% versus trying to make a game that everybody enjoys and can benefit from. That's what it sounds like to me, but I can't speak.
No, you're right.
For them.
No, that's Blizzard. Blizzard Activision. They're trash, and I hope they hear me say that because I think they're trash.
I hear you. Yes, and one of the great things about Gods Unchained is if you ever decide that you don't want to play it anymore, you can sell all your cards and then do something different if you decide to. But
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really digging this game right now. And yeah.
Awesome. No. Well, I'm super happy to have chatted to you, Chuck. Thanks for coming on here, and I guess I'll catch up with you in the streams,
Yes.
my dude.
All right, man. I really appreciate you having me.
Of course, brother.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Well,
All right.
thanks so much, dude.
Yes, sir.
Peace.